Are you a landlord or a letting agent? You are either side of the fence of property investing in the UK. Today, I'm joined by Maxine Fothergill, who is a very well-known estate agent, a letting agent, ex-ALA president, and also a property investor herself. And today, she is here on the Watkin sofa to talk about her book, How to Become a Successful Property Investor. This will be of interest to both landlords who want to become a better property investor, but also of interest to letting agents as well, because the advice held in this book should be advice that you should be giving to your letting landlords in your letting agency. So as I said, part one of a video, and as I said, Maxine is a friend of mine, and she's been a client of mine for in excess of 7 or 8 years. So it was only fair that when I found out she was doing a book, we'd get her up to Grantham to sit on the Watkin sofa. Thanks for joining me today, Maxine.
Thank you.
Maxine, so you've written this book to help landlords become better landlords, to make more profitable portfolios. I want to talk to you about the foundations of success and how you built your property empire. But so how did your journey in property investment begin, and what sparked your passion in this field?
The book's actually based on 25 years, which actually sparked me off on deciding to write the book. But my background, originally, when I very first started work, I started in foreign exchange banking. So that kind of gave me quite a lot of foundations on finance and how to set things up. But I think my real passion for property began when I was heavily pregnant in 1988 with my son. Mortgage rates were through the roof. I think it was about 16.5% at that time. And I needed to get a second job. And I saw an advert for it was the Halifax Property Services at the time, that are now Robinson Jackson. And I applied, and I was given that opportunity by Peter gave me that opportunity. I've still got that letter from all those years ago.
Peter Knight.
Back in 1988. Yeah, Peter Knight.
Wow, the fabled Peter Knight. Wow, from EA Masters.
Exactly.
Can you remember your early days of being an agent? What did you love about it?
Well, it was part-time. So I was still working in the city, earning quite a lot of money in the city. And then on weekends, I was working in property in the estate agency in Bexley. That branch has actually now gone. I think it's been turned into some kind of wine bar or something, but it was there for many years, and it was actually one of their flagship branches at the time.
What early challenges did you face being an estate agent, which has helped you become a landlord now?
Well, I think that's what sparked my passion for wanting to know more about property. I think with me, I had seen my family had struggled. My father-in-law had been made redundant a couple of times, and they really struggled with money, so there wasn't a huge amount going into pensions. My dad, on the other side of the coin, was an insurance man, and he was always very concerned that if he went first, how would things pan out for my mum? So my dad put a lot of money into pensions. But I think when I went into property, thanks to Peter Knight, and giving me that opportunity, it made me realise that property really was the way to go, and that's what I wanted to do. So it was something that I actually aspired to for quite a long time, but I didn't get into it back in '88. It took me then, into the late 90s, when we could actually afford to start doing it, that we then started to invest in property.
What do you think separates those landlords who are successful to those that feel they struggle or fail?
Planning. It's really, really is crucial that when you go into property investing, you don't go into it just as a crazy idea. You've got to plan properly.
I mean, I've always been taught and always been said when I do my buy-to-let seminars is the first question you should always ask if you're getting into buy-to-let investment is, when are you getting out? By knowing when you're getting out, you know why you're getting in.
Yeah, you're right, actually, in that respect. By properly considering what are your goals, what do you want to achieve, and what's the end result. So it could be different for different people. I really discourage people if they're going in to flip and to come straight back out again, because I don't believe that there is a market for that anymore.
I mean,
Others might argue with me over that, but I think that if you're going to go into property investing, then you've got to be looking at that long-term strategy and planning out, what do you want to achieve, why do you want to achieve it, and what is your long-term goals.
well, we'll talk about the goals in part 2 of the videos, but I always find it strange that landlords, you know, let's be honest, it's an investment, hence the word buy-to-let investment. And the wonderful thing about buy-to-let is that you can earn two ways: one from the capital growth, and one from the income. Do you think it is? I'm trying to be careful with my wording here. You know, if I put in £500 a month into a pension, I don't expect to get any income back. I expect it to go into the pension and just let it run itself, and then me get the investment when I retire. Do you think there's some landlords in there that expect the return in the future, the cake in the future, but also want a cake now?
Yeah, they do. And also, there's been some huge tax changes. So when I started, you could claim everything back. You could claim all your interest back. You know, it was a good market to get into. Then we obviously went through a property crash and loads of things have happened. But with property, it tends to go in cycles. So you're looking at every sort of 7 to 8 years that you kind of like end up almost repeating cycles. But I do believe you've got to actually like be looking at long-term gains and not looking at trying to like have your cake and eat
Yeah,
it.
have the high yield, high income now, and the capital growth. I mean, what? It's like she said, it's like having your cake and eat it. It's not fair.
No, and not only that, it's also setting yourself up correctly in the first place. In my book, I actually talk about that. I talk about how to sort of set yourself up. If you're starting now, I would be thoroughly recommending that you get some really good tax planning advice. Anybody starting now is probably better to set themselves up as a company rather than going buy to let, because of all the tax breaks have changed. So there is a lot of consideration, and you've got to actually get that right team behind you in the first place.
Well, maybe in part 2 we can talk about setting those goals, and setting the great foundations with your finances, and then we'll, as I said, we'll do a 5-part series. This is part 1. So should I see you on part 2?
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.